we go towards the religion.
Okay, are you still alive? Last year, I was wondering if Miro's concepts of how you could produce a complex content for project. I asked him if we're gonna join a project together, and I knew his way of developing these kinds of things, and I had a request from a friend, and this friend was calling me because she is the Intendantin of the Kulturhauptstadt 2024 in Bad Ischl, Elisabeth Schweger. And she asked me if we would like to join with the university a project for the next year, like this was 2023. And so I don't know if you know about the Kulturhauptstadt 2024. This is going on right now in Upper Austria around Bad Ischl. And it's like about art exhibitions, it's about literature, it's about cooking, it's about everything in an area which is usually not a cultural area. Usually you have these events in big cities, and the main concept here is that it's on the countryside, and how can art and cultural events be placed in the countryside. So this was the challenge, and people could ask for being part of it by offering or projects. And one of the requests they got was from a place called Gomde. This is the place. It's the Rangjung Yeshe Gomde. It's a place where Buddhists meet and meditate. You can train at this place meditation. You can train the experience of Buddhism, and they offer workshops. And he's the Rinpoche. He's the founder of this. And they had this idea to build little pavilions to meditate. So they asked 3 universities if they would like to join their project. 3 universities. The one was the University of Innsbruck, us. They asked us. The second was the UCL in London, the Bartlett, University of Bartlett. And the third one was the University of Kassel, a German architectural department. So the 3 universities had to design and also build 2 projects. And I thought that's a really interesting topic to work together, because the topic is religion. It's we tried this, so we started this experiment of using Miro's methods and techniques to develop the concepts, and then we had to build them. So this was the beginning of the project a year ago. Yeah. Let's talk about religion.
What was kind of funny is when you come to people today and say, okay, let's talk about religion, everyone is like, all right, religion is usually associated in our times with a kind of right-wing nationalism, and it gets a little bit crazy. So, but we kind of like both the topic. I think religion, if the aliens were coming on our planet and they would think what's the best things that human ever did, I think it would be humans invented the gods. The gods as a kind of a placeholder for things that we don't know. Very similar to science. It just helps us to talk about these things. So we need certain stories that make airplanes fly, and we need certain stories when airplanes fall down. And religion is able to give one aspect of this kind of story. So when Clemens came to me and said, look, there is this project, do you want to work on it with me? I was like, yes, of course, let's do it. And now the way, so I don't want to talk too much about the methodology. You get the methodology from working with Alice and Xenoteca. So it's about playing around with things. It's about being rich. It's not about defining things. It's not about telling the truth. It's not about analyzing stuff. Playing with things and making things rich and beautiful. And if you don't believe us, I think with, for instance, Alberti or Le Corbusier, these guys had always the whole spectrum of things that they were working on. Alberti did a book on the delineation of city of Rome, on 10 books of architecture, on painting, on sculpture, on the family in Florence. This is the scope of his work. So how do we talk about spirituality today? This was one of the questions that we were asking ourselves. So basically it's again the same story, huh? In the time of internet, global warming, social media, feminism, Google, political correctness, ChatGPT, sustainability, what do the spirits have to say? Do we even remember what the spirits are? All the students, then the only way how to connect to religion for you guys is nature. So you collapse the idea of gods, spirits with nature. But the problem is that this nature is always technological. Bring nature and technology together, this is a kind of a fascistic setup which is always good. So be careful in the setups which are organized in a way that they are always good. I think we need the Greek gods. The Greek gods were making love to us, they were making children with us, they were making problems, dramas, and all of this stuff. They were not like Jesus. Jesus is always good. Jesus is always right. Jesus is similar to nature and technology together. So it's a kind of technocracy on one side, and Jesus is always right. Yeah. Don't listen to me so it's an attitude towards things. It's not the true. Yeah. And I don't want to offend anyone. Yeah. So I love religion. Yeah. So religion is the same as religare. It's the same as architecture. It's the same as text. It's the same as textile. It's to bind, to attach, and to connect. And these guys invited us to design a place where gods and humans talk. It's a talk between the earth and the sky, between world and history, between nature and culture, between heavy and light, light and shadow, texture and surface. What Clemens brought to the table was he did a project in Peru with Red Earth.
Yeah. So I was from the very beginning, I thought Red Earth would be beautiful to use. This was one of the things it was a manifest. Students had to work with Red Earth as a material. Because we like this idea that when you think of a nice place to meditate, that there's a really heavy material involved. This was the one thing. And the other thing is, as we did already a project with Red Earth, I knew that even doing the Red Earth project has already a meditative feeling. It's a really boring work. You really work hard and long to just get a wall. And this was a little bit this idea why I said, let's work with Red Earth.
It's like when you think of, we are discussing cosmoses. Yeah? In the cosmos, things are somehow consistent. And if you think about religion, if you think about Red Earth, there is this kind of notion of eternity. There is the notion of the Mother Earth. There is the notion of heaviness. So somehow this thing fits if you are working with religion.
Yeah? And there's another thing I would like to add here. The reason why I had this contact to Bad Ischl was because we did a project 2 years ago. And I linked this old project to this project. I had another project 2014. This was the Red Earth project, and I linked that again. So this is actually then my cosmos I used to set up this project. Miro brought his cosmos to the project, and we put and that's what I said at the very beginning of the lectures. Develop your own world, your own work, and then suddenly they start to fit in different, for different projects and in different times. And this happened here really nicely.
Then just let's enrich it. Let's start telling interesting stories about what is religion, about what is rammed earth. Rammed earth is heavy, it's static. Heavy is texture, but then we need the other part. The light is wood, the light is glass, the light is shadow, the light is textile, the light is color. And what happens in between? I think in between happens architecture in a way, but let's articulate. In between it's symbolic, in between is printed, in between is found, in between is text. The spiritual, the material, the ethereal, the intangible, the transcendent, the sublime, the otherworldly, the esoteric, the dreamlike, the ephemeral, the phantasmagorical. This is the in-between, the things that you cannot touch, but it's kind of floating around. How can we host this event? Because this is what we need to host. All the religions are about this. Yeah? They're not about the wood and the rammed earth, but they are somehow about the wood and the rammed earth as well. How do we host this event? Of course, with the gods, because the gods are here to help us. They are curious. The Zeus, Yahweh, Odin, Apollo, David, Moses, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Freya, Aphrodite, blah, blah, blah. And it goes like this, huh? And then we push it even further, huh? It's the totem, it's the cross, it's the mandala, it's the priest, and so on. Then you get a backlash with the Buddhists, because the Buddhists say Buddha is not a god. Of course, Buddha is not a god, but somehow, if we look at these constellations of concepts, I think Buddha would be somewhere very close to Jesus, and it would be very close to angels, and it would be very close to Muhammad and all of these guys. So they are kind of friends. They are not fighting, they are representing, they are about the same kind of things. So in this sense, treating gods and spirituality as a kind of an intellectual exercise. And these guys, with their histories and with their cosmoses, will help us design a pantheon. Why a pantheon? It's the temple of all the gods. It's the oldest walk-in building on the planet. They will help us design a ritual, how to think about this thing, how to meditate there, how to create a contract between the earth and the sky, how to formalize a certain kind of constitution, how to behave there. What's nice about the gods is that they all have their different tempers. So be vigilant, said Buddha. You will lose all faith in me this night, Jesus said to them. To carry Europa, the bull Zeus emerged from the sea and then plunged back into it again. And the oracle of Delphi looked at them and said, a life in which the gods are not invited isn't worth living. I like this one, huh? Because we lose so much if we give up on the gods. And it doesn't matter how real they are. So let's welcome the gods and build them a house in the Alps or underneath the Alps. So then we said, okay, let's compose kind of a temple.
Yeah. This is how we started the project a year ago. And then students had to work with words. We had 19 students and we had to design 2 projects at the end. So what we did was, of course, we had some competition going on. The first thing we did was we had 19 projects. Out of these 19 projects, we picked 5. So then we had groups of with 5 projects, and then at the end we had then 2, and those 2 we started to and build. So if you look at the links we sent you, you can see the projects of the other students, like all the projects. Like this one, for example, was Lily's, and I think this was Angela's. No, this is Leo's ones. And we had then, and you can see in this project, of course, Rammed Earth was always part of it, and a place to sit, a place to meditate, and it was in the outside in the garden around this old Vierkanthof of Gomde. And this one, for example, I played with these prayer flags. The Buddhists love to hang everywhere. And here we have a little temple-style one. Here, this is more an Asian one. And so here's a wall. This wall might be that important. And that's actually the one we did then at the end. Yeah. And this one is also then became important for us. So the thing was, the students started with Miro's technology, Miro's methods, and developed for themselves different texts. And they entered the whole world, the spiritual world, with the Xenoteka, actually. And in the beginning, we just listened to texts and then saw some pictures and videos. This is how we started it. This one here. And at the end, we selected the two projects. The one is called Nifty Nook. The other one is called Tashi Gfü. There was actually a big debate about the names because we said every project needs a proper name. And the name shouldn't be the description of the project. It should be really the identity, the soul of the project. Nifty Nook is, if you translate Nifty Nook, it means like cozy corner, something like that. Yeah. And Tashi Gfü is a mixture of a Tibetan word for luck, Glück, and Gfü is an Upper Austrian word for Gefühl, Gefühl. Tashi Gfü. Yeah.
What we wanted to achieve with this is that they're kind of lively characters. Yeah? So they have to be alive. And then with those names, we somehow slowly started to call them Pokemons. And this somehow stayed. So we were designing 2 Pokemons for the Gomde. Yeah? And this created a certain nice attitude towards things. And we started playing with these cards and so on. So there, somehow the whole cosmos was coming out. Yeah?
Before we did that, we went to the site, of course, with the students. And we looked at the place. So this is, for example, the room where they pray, they meditate, the internal room. This is the building. This is the landscape around. So there's a great field, a big, huge field around this building. There's even a little chapel. This is still what the Buddhists use. We wanted to do something with this chapel, but it didn't almost happen. Yeah. So this is the place, and when we went there, we could really you find a life, a different life. This is really a completely different world. Like people meet there, meditate, have lunch and dinner together, and it's a really quiet and unique spot. And yeah, we loved it to stay there and in like walk around this is how you live there. Quite nice. Well, we had nice rooms. And in the beginning we had like workshops there. We got an introduction to meditation. The cultural city had a little presentation of what this is about. And of course we had to explore like the whole landscape because somewhere we had to place the projects. This is the gift shop where you can buy stuff. Yeah. So this is how we started. And then after the whole process of designing, we selected the 2 projects. Let's start with the first one. This is the Nifty Nook, the wall. And as you can see, we picked 2 different concepts, 2 spatial concepts. The one is an open one. This is the wall where you have like just a wall where you can sit attached to the wall, and the wall is facing north and south. You can sit in the morning sun, or in the evening sun. And here are like the texts, of course, attached to the project. The students wrote. And here you can see this is the site plan, the floor plan. Here's the big building. This is the chapel you saw. And in this great green field, we placed this wall as an icon. Everybody could see when they enter the site. Like when they enter Gomde, this is the first thing they see. The people from Gomde call it bus station because it has a little bit the shape of a bus station. And and we entered this whole, I would say, concept of the spirits, concept of the gods, and then Apollo appears because we had to build it. We needed drawings. We needed really a civil engineer doing the calculation. We needed the concept, how we're going to build it, how we do the formwork, how we get the money. Yeah. And so suddenly the students had to draw drawings they never did before. Yeah. And it's something I can tell you, actually, it wasn't that hard to do for them. I don't know. So I'm Apollo, he's Dionysos. In this case. Yeah. And at the end, you can see some pictures of the project, or here, a 3D thing that the students built with us. This project is about change. So rammed earth is a material which is constantly changing. The weather constantly changes the surface of rammed earth. Like rain is facing the surface, then the little particles of the earth are washed away, and we wanted it to make it a little bit faster in the middle of the wall. So this idea of, like it was actually the idea of the students, that if you meditate, you have to meditate usually because life sucks. Yeah. The idea of when you talk to Buddhists about meditation, they say meditation is a thing you need because you suffer. So you need to train yourself, you need to deal with these problems in the world. And you can really do this in a nice way by train yourself in meditation. So what this project is about is that the nature is constantly destroying the project. Like the rain is constantly making this a little bit go away. Like the place where you sit and meditate should start to disappear. Therefore, this idea was that we have this hole in the middle where the water is collected, and it starts to destroy the wall from the middle. The next nice thing is you have this curly element, the curved elements in here. You can see them, but here everywhere. And so with the hole in the middle, you always have a different sun, which is like touching the wall, and that's really beautiful. Like there's this.
We need to the Pantheon. We are building the Pantheon. The thing that defines Pantheon is the hole and the light, which somehow materializes when it enters. That's one level of arguing. The other way, which is very beautiful as well, is that the sun clock or the sundial, one could argue that this is the first artificial intelligence. And you use the intelligence of the sun and you use the intelligence of the matter in order for them to give you time. So I think kind of conceptually it works beautifully from Pantheon to artificial intelligence for the Buddhists. Huh?
And you need to understand the outcome of the project was a process of almost a year. You constantly change it. You constantly you have to. It's not that this was the first drawing. At the end, it was the drawing of like the 30th drawing, because we didn't know if we are even able to do it. We wanted this whole, and at the end, we could do it. It was also a problem to finance it. We will talk about this a little bit later on, but we didn't know if it's technically possible or not. And but we believed in it, and this hole was one of the things we fought for. This was really a fight to get this hole in the ceiling. And you can also see the concept is here, the massive wall and a really light roof attached to it. So this is the idea Miro was talking about between the heavy and the light is already placed in this project. The second project is actually also the father of the Pokemon cards, because when this this building was selected, we always had the feeling it's somehow funny, or it's a Pokemon. This building is, and I can show you, for example, one of the movies the students did in the beginning to develop this project. Let's have a look at this movie.
Sweet. Verfolgen wir nun die Silofutterernte. Und im Takt wurden oftmals auch die Sensen gewetzt.
Memories, image, sound, memories, memories.
Ein Gespür für den lebendigen Werkstoff.
Things were self-evident. They're
this was before the design was even there. And as you can see in this video here, the concept was that two different cultures meet. We have the European one, the Upper Austrian one, and we have the Tibetan one, the Buddhist one. And the concept of the whole building is also playing with two different characters. It has actually a roof like a chapel, but not. And it has columns, and they're open. Even there's again this Pantheon hole in the roof. And what we did here was we placed this project or this object not on the field, on the lawn, on the big one, but in the forest. It is in the middle of a open space in the forest, a really nice place. And this was also a bit tricky because doing a project in the middle of the forest it's hard to get there, it's hard to reach it. So the construction was tough. It was also a decision we made that this project, which has less rammed earth elements, is in an area which is harder to reach, and the big wall, which had really major rammed earth involved, was easy to get there. Again, the drawings, precise drawings. You have steel elements in the walls. you have a proper construction of the roof. And you can always see, if you look at it, this is like the section and the Ansicht. Yeah. Here are some images. This is something we're going to talk about a bit later on. And that's the building. Yeah, it looks now so easy and nice to do. I would give you now a little insight of how we built them. So the first thing, if you look at the wall, was we had to construct the formwork. The formwork is the most important thing if you do rammed earth. We didn't know if it's possible to make a curved wall. So we had really to do some experiments of how can we do a curved formwork to use for rammed earth. There are some examples where people did that, but we couldn't use them because we always had to do it by our own hands. There we had no cranes or something like that. We needed a light formwork. So we did this in the workshop, and we needed foundation work. We casted the concrete with the students. The formwork was already involved. And then we started the first experiment with ramming the earth. Ramming the earth is like you pour about 10 centimeters of earth as layer by layer, and then you compress it down to 7 centimeters. This is you do this like day by day by day. And then the first big celebration was when we saw it's working. We didn't know yet, but it was really working, and it was working well, really well. The earth was from an old project. We found that on a Müllhalde. Like you can use it. You can use like the earth you have on site, but you need to prepare it, and it should rest around a month. And we wanted already used earth, and we found that it was the only thing you have to pay was the truck bringing the material to your site. Yeah. And here you can see the layers. Yeah. So this and this took us about 6 weeks to do it. I think so. Yeah. And at the end, then we prepared a little bit this hole. Yeah, it's a bit better covered from the rain, but not too much. And the roof we got from a local company. They sponsored us. They gave us a roof for free. And that was also the interesting thing. When we explained them the projects we did, this is like a really traditional old company. They do normal farm housing or housing for less. Maybe you know it, Wolf System. Of course, we have to mention them because they paid a lot for us. And they were so thrilled by the projects that they said, oh, we're going to spend the roof for you. And this was the really interesting thing for me to see that the stories we have invented, the stories we were able to talk about were so convincing that this traditional local company said, well, that's great. We're going to give you the money. We're going to give you the material for free. And we're going to place the roof for you for free. And this was really amazing. Of course, we wanted to have text underneath the roof. This is always a part of the projects. Of the 2 projects, we had text and the building. Here you can see what we wanted to do. It didn't work because the reality bites. If you do some construction work, you should always measure it before you then do the next step. and you can't cut pieces here in the lab and then bring them to the site. They won't fit. So
yeah, we were so afraid that this die is not going to work, that here we're going to have so problems. So the whole focus was on this, and for the other one, we thought this is a piece of cake. It's just going to happen, and then.
So no text here, but yeah. And the Tashi, a little bit too fast. The Tashi was simpler in the middle of the forest. Not simpler; it was really, really heavy to do. Here we had to do first the 4 columns, again in rammed earth. Here you can see this is again the foundation underneath, and then a little concrete hat on the top of the columns. And on this little hat, we placed then the wood construction. And we did the wood construction. The whole wood construction was built by hand with a hand saw. There was no machine involved. I have to say that this was really here you can see how we cut, how we did the wood beams by hand. It was really tough. Oops. Ambulance. And the nice thing here is that again we had to cover the whole project with metal, a little bit, pieces of it. And there was another company who said, well, this is a really great project. We'll give you all the kappa you need, which is a really expensive material. And they came and gave us the kappa, and that's why you can see it. We have 2 shiny elements. These one, they are kappa. And this was also really for us fantastic that, again, with the storytelling, we could really make people to believe in the project and give us the support we needed. And then, in the end, after the roof was ready, the textile appeared. And the textile was actually the one we thought it won't work, because it was, again, expensive, but also tricky of the shape inside. And it was also an element, we had some problems with our client. I mean, you need to understand the client they're Buddhists, and we really pushed them in a far, like we pushed them hard with the projects we did.
1 year, or it's half of the year of very intense relationships, and this always brings dramas and problems and love and hate and all of these kind of things. I mean, this guy we have to mention. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is the guy, Elias. He's the specialist for rammed earth. And I don't know why this happens, but when you really believe in a project, people show up and help you. You don't know why. Elias called us. He said, I'm a specialist in rammed earth, and I by accidentally moved to Scharnstein, the place where we're gonna do the project. So he offered us his help, and he really showed the students and support the students on site with the rammed earth project. Elias is really a great guy, and the students loved him. The project was so nice and so funny because of the people we had and the students we had. And I think you can see this in the images, what great time, almost.
We had a kind of a flat hierarchy. So many of the design decisions and things which happened on the site were decisions of students at the spot. We were kind of there, but not always. So things were happening. We didn't control things. So we don't like, both of us, we are not control freaks. We want people to have fun and do stuff and take responsibility. And these guys took responsibility, had fun, enjoyed, and did a great thing. So it's kind of, this project really comes from all the sides. And this was super beautiful. And all the people who helped of course, when you have this kind of like a family dinner, when you have a family dinner, there is always drama, but people like each other. So this was a kind of setup, yeah. Very, very beautiful group of people.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing for us as teachers was we started with 19 students and we ended up with 19 students. This was really rare. This is really a rare thing. Yeah.
Let's just go quickly through what we call here kind of a cosmos, huh? So you've seen what we've built. We have 2 websites, how they look like. Then we have a beautiful book. Yeah. And in this book, the way how things are written, for instance here, huh? You always have these quotes, then you have something in between, then the quotes, then things in between. This is the pattern that never happened. This pattern comes from all the texts that students wrote, and then we did word analysis on it, took the ones which are the nicest one. For the other temple, or the one with the red cloth, there we took the books from Buddhism, and then we took the most frequent words from there. So somehow these things just happen. Then you have the drawings, then you have the photos, then you have the building, you have the textures. These are the tests for those texts. Different kind of styles and arrangements, testing. Now this is the second temple, with all of these texts. Again, multimedia. So we worked on all of the levels. Then we had to find ways how to finance the whole thing. So Clemens was organizing a lot of sponsors and so on. Then we had the crowdfunding, which was happening, but then the university got pissed that we cannot do the crowdfunding. So then you have all these kind of things that happen. Then all the students kind of fall in love with each other there, and then they had fights with the Gomde, then they made love with the Gomde. So all of these things were happening in parallel. Yeah? So this is for the drawings for the fabric.
The fabric, yeah.
New Pantheon that's coming. Then you have all these beautiful people doing these things. The rammed earth. Then we have the pavilions. This is how they look at the end. This is one. Yeah. There is, with this rammed earth, there is this kind of presence of eternity, of time. To me, they look like they're kind of a little bit Egyptian, almost. Then you have these sun clock moments, these beautiful shadows, and then always on the floor you have a kind of what's the time. This is the decay that gets integrated into the pavilions with the rain. Then we had one presentation on the spot. We had an exhibition here, so there was also kind of a very strong performative part. Then we were pushing social media non-stop, so students were having fun with a lot of social media. As Clemens already showed, we had a lot of different projects, which were kind of all nice. Then kind of like they developed again with AI, like a whole soundtrack.
Gomde, fliegt mit den Teams nach Gomde dabei. Hardwork, doch Kaffee dabei. Blueprints gesammelt, dann Jalla nach Gomde.
Like this kind of stuff, and this was done during the break on the phone. Yeah? Like you're eating and on the phone you're like doing this, and then this music comes. Yeah, like I mean, how they did it, we don't know exactly, but somehow.
We also don't know why they did it, but they did it.
Then it's fun and doing this non-stop. Then we have the Pokemon card, we have the book. All of these things are kind of coming and showing things, yeah? Like on Instagram, there was a lot of, I like this one the most. Wait, look at this. Here.
Day 7 of building a pavilion with no experience. Follow the journey. Day 7 of 3 types of construction site workers. Part 1, the animal lover. the trick shot master. Mrs. Sunshine.
I've been really trying, baby.
3 types of
Okay, what's here cool is that you can see that these people had a lot of fun doing all of these things. And what they did, I think it's very cool. And now if you go there, what's funny is that these pavilions are on Google Maps. Like this is one is here. Here is the other one. So if you go to Gomde, or if you're Buddhist, go there, meditate, and check our pavilions. And just to end, we show you a short video, which I think it's again interesting because somehow it should reflect all this stuff with the social media, with the texts, with the music, with the people, with the buildings, with the building of the buildings, with the talking to the investors, with talking to the clients, arranging the money. So somehow students had to go through this whole spectrum of everything, from writing text, which kind of at the beginning nobody sees why should we write text, but then at the end somehow these texts give, or not text, or I think objects are as worth as many stories we can tell about them. Something like this.
In the time of internet and global warming, social media and feminism, Google and political correctness, ChatGPT and sustainability. What do the spirits and gods have to say? Gomde invited us to design a place where gods and humans talk. It is a place between the earth and the sky, between world and history, between nature and culture. How can we host this event? Gods and spirits are around. They are curious. Zeus, Yahweh, Odin, Apollo, David, Moses, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Freya. Each god, each figure, each character with its own temper, ready to help us design a pantheon. So, we did welcome the gods, and build them 2 homes in the footsteps of the Alps. We composed 2 temples. We call them Nifty Nook and Tashi Gfü. The 2 operate on the same grounds. 2 Pokemons, 2 Gnomons. But it is impossible to separate the 2. 2 pavilions, 2 clocks. These 2 voices say the same thing. 2 friends, 2 meditation spots. The 2 systems can be contrasted term by term. 2 figures, 2 sculptures. Yet the 2 terms are not opposites, they simply mark 2 aspects of expression. 2 atmospheres, 2 characters. Nevertheless, the 2 are related. 2 sundials, 2 shadows. Nifty Nook and Tashi Gfü.
The one. The only one. Nifty Nook. One is open and empty, the other full and sealed. If the one is right, the other is mistaken. Who is right is the one who can silence the other. One music flows like a river, the other is the sea. It is physics, on the one hand, and mathematics, on the other. Nifty Nook sits in the open on the meadow. Nifty Nook is 2 surfaces and 2 curves. Nifty Nook is 2 textures and a text. Nifty Nook is a clock. Nifty Nook is rammed earth and wood. Nifty Nook is a cut. Nifty Nook is heavy at the bottom and light at the top. Nifty Nook's letters come from students. Nifty Nook is the wall in, Pluto jumps over the wall. Nifty Nook is substance. Nifty Nook loves the neighbor's dog. Nifty Nook is 30% Egyptian, 45% secession, 25% Alpine infused with Buddhism. Nifty Nook seduces the passerby. Nifty Nook is a sign.
There is never only one, there is always the other one. That is, Tashi Gfü. It is not that one leads to the other or vice versa. One is in error and the other is in reality. One is a visitor, the other a conqueror. However, one is included in the other. Tashi Gfü wanders at the edge of the forest. Tashi is 4 legs and a hat. Tashi is 4 columns and a dome. Tashi Gfü is a gnomon, a clock. Tashi is wood and rammed earth. Tashi Gfü is a link. Tashi Gfü is light at the bottom and heavy at the top. Tashi's letters come from the masters. Tashi is the whole at top of pantheon. Tashi Gfü is the void. Tashi is in love with the chapel next door. Tashi is 50% pantheon, 23% hut, 27% Buddhist Pokemon. Tashi Gfü whispers ancient secrets to the trees. Tashi is a stage.
The many yes, we were many on many levels. The one is the many, unity is multiplicity. We are born like many things, in the voluptuous spiral. 19 students, 3 teachers, 3 II, and a few more 5 Buddhists, and the whole community, 23 projects, 1 year 2 semesters, 30128 tons of earth, all of it rammed, 198.9 kilograms of steel, 3,816.8 kilograms of wood, 50.3 square meters of printed fabric, 28,125 square meters of lasered MDF, 15968 words. The variants are many and subtle. Every structure is a multiplicity of virtual coexistence.
My guys from the University of Innsbruck are nothing but incredible. The pulled up at Gomde, absolutely making the best out of the given situation, shoveling and compressing the dirt like crazy, and every once in a while, a chill camel blue. Fantastic.
That's it. Danke.
Bitte. Give them to Bye-bye.